All right, welcome back to Jay's Fifth Down, the football podcast. I'm your host, Jay Gay. Again, here today with Rusty Byrd of the Kirk and Bird sports show. Thank you again, Rusty, for coming on, talking some ball with us.
Happy to join you, man. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Got a lot to unpack here today. But before we get started, please again make sure you guys check us out. On all podcast platforms, including we're on YouTube as well. So subscribe, rate us, check us out. Check out Rusty and Kirk's show as well. They got great content, so you guys give them a listen and watch as well. Rusty, big, week 5 in the NFL. A lot of surprises, and again, another team that is just, shocking everybody. They're undefeated. The only undefeated team in the NFL is the Philadelphia Eagles. Can we give the Eagles some love on this podcast?
Oh, yeah, man. I'm a big fan of Jalen Hurts, so I'm happy for him. And I like that they are the leaders of the NFC East. Let me just put it that way. I live here in Washington, D.C., metro area. The Commanders don't practice too far from where I live, but haven't been happy with that organization. So to see the Eagles kind of doing what they're doing, I'm ecstatic about it, man.
Yeah, and again, Philadelphia they're just finding ways, because this game against the Cardinals was not an easy win by any means, but again, and it was interesting how it ended. Kyler Murray, he slid, and he swiped the ball, and but he was short of the first down. It was 4th and 1, and they had to kick a field goal, but they missed, so it's one of those games. Okay, but maybe I think the Eagles still would have won regardless, because they're just a better football team right now. But another good win. They're 5-0. Is it too early to put stock into this Eagles team this year?
I don't think so, because to be honest, they're not just okay, let me put it this way. All right, so there are a few teams that have decent records, but you're not gonna. I'll give you an example: the Giants.
Yeah,
I'm not putting any stock in the Giants. They're 4-1.
4-1.
But this Eagles team, they look to be legit. So I'll put it that way. I think the way they're winning, the way the team was constructed, Jalen Hurts' maturity, it says a lot to me. So I think that they've had close games, they've blown people out. I think they might be legit. Now we'll really tell a lot when they play the Cowboys. So
yeah, and again, the Cowboys, they win against the defending Super Bowl champion Rams yesterday. Big game, 22-10. Just kind of dominated that game pretty much, especially defensively. That Cowboys defense has been really good this year, and having Cooper Rush come in and just manage the game, do your job, get the win. He's been able to do that, So, and a lot of Cowboys fans are like, when that gets healthy, should we roll? Should we, put him back in, or keep rolling with Cooper Rush? What do you think about that?
So you know what?
Interesting.
As much as I don't like for people to lose their job because of injury, that's how Dak got his job. And I'm a big Dak fan, but Romo got hurt, and they rode Dak's hot hand. So I would say, and because I hate the Cowboys, no, I hate them, but I do like Dak Prescott, and I like some of the receivers they have, and I love Parsons.
Oh, yeah.
But I would say you got to ride Cooper Rush. I think you ride him, and the longer he's winning, it's not about him winning the game, but it's like having a lucky shirt. Like if every time I wore my lucky shirt and my team wins, I'm gonna probably keep wearing that shirt, And so it may not be as much that it's Cooper, but if the team and the players are comfortable and feel like he's getting the job done, because what happens is when you get a backup quarterback to play, you really dumb down the offense. You make things plainer, and a lot of times that's helpful because you're not going to practice as many crazy things in practices. Have so many, you can focus on the things you do well, and so I think that has helped them. The longer he plays and they're winning, I think that gives Dak more time to fully recover and heal. So I think it's fine. I think they stick with this. And I'm also scared of Dak, man. He come back, man. I don't think they'll start really crushing people. So
Yeah.
that's kind of how I feel. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much agree with you there. I mean, you got to ride the hot hand, and it's when the quarterback, is in command, and he's got everything down, he's doing his job correctly. The whole team's gonna follow suit because again, he is the leader of the team, or at least one of them, the main leader, and so everybody's gonna follow suit. And right now, like you said, the pretty much the vibe around that team is that hey, Dak's our guy, but Cooper comes in and he's doing his job, and that's the main thing. It's just do your job. Don't try to be extravagant, just come
Yep.
in, do your job, run the offense, and win football games. And that's what he's done. And that's all you really can ask out of him, and that fact that he's come in and done that to a good level. I mean, especially beating a good team like the Rams, even though they're kind of having an off year, but still talented team across the board. So, yeah, the Cowboys, Giants. I mean,
Okay, so
NFC
the other
Eagles.
the NFC is tough, man. It right now, based on their record and the way they've, around the league beating different teams. Yeah, I'd say it's the best conference, but we'll see. We got 17 total games to go.
Yeah,
The other thing I think about Cooper playing quarterback, like I said, when you dumb down the offense, I think what it allows them to do is really focus on what they can do best, and that is run the ball.
Mm-hmm.
I think Zeke is washed up. But Pollard, I mean, I think when they're running the ball, they've always had great offensive linemen. That is the one thing I think Jerry Jones does a phenomenal job in is drafting, free agents, however they do it. They have great offensive line, and even when they, years ago when Dak finally did get that starting job, but it was because him and Ezekiel Elliott, they were leaning on the run. Now, Zeke is washed up. He's been washed up for a couple of years. They gave him that big contract. But what you're doing is you're focusing on the run, and you're just saying, when Dak's there, you're going, wait a minute, we got all these fancy receivers we paid all this money for. Let's get them the ball. So that's another perspective on it for me.
Oh, yeah, of course. And like you said, Ezekiel Elliott, really ever since that contract he got, it's just been – his play just has been deteriorating every single season since then, and and at some point the Cowboys are going to have to sit down and really evaluate. Hey, I think we need to go with Pollard just for the rest of the way. I mean, he's a phenomenal back. He can catch it out the backfield. He's good in space.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's just an elusive dude, and very talented. So I think the Cowboys should consider that conversation. But yes, Rusty, we have our first head coach fired of today. NFL. Matt Rhule for the Panthers. He, after finishing 1-4 this year, so far in the season, and 11-27 overall as the Panthers head coach, David Tepper has pulled the plug, and he has been fired. So, what do you think about this, man?
So, I don't know how you can go 5 games in and just fire him. When I think the biggest problem now, he was known for having great offenses at Baylor, and he had that one magical season, but he has not had a quarterback, man. And so, do you fire him because he doesn't have the tools, or you just realize within, like, he's just not, the organization sees how he's running practice, how he's coaching, how the players feel. And maybe they just thought, like, I don't know why you have to fire him now, because, it's not like college where, oh, the new coach, we have to get ready to hire a new coach for recruiting and all that type of stuff or whatever. But like, why not let them finish it out? But if you're going to get rid of them, okay, maybe they think they can provide some type of boost. The main thing I think is he has not had a quarterback, and I, to me, I liked Baker in college, but I thought he was fool's gold from the beginning, man. Even in Cleveland.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, and as you mentioned with Matt Rhule, he really has not had consistent quarterback play throughout his years coaching there. I mean, he arrived in, I believe it was 2019, just I mean, you had Cam Newton for like a few games. That was just he was out of it now, you know. And then Kyle Allen, and it's just the Panthers had this revolving door quarterback. You had Sam Darnold last year. He didn't start.
Yep.
He started out, you know, good. Then just went out poor from the rest of the year. And then they bring in Baker, and it's, you know, so the Panthers right now, because of that, I feel like, you know, as I mentioned earlier, at the quarterback position, if you don't have any type of fluidity, consistency there, it's gonna throw the whole team off pretty much. And it's like the whole culture in Carolina is just kind of just been decimated to a point where it's just, you know what I'm saying. So I you know that I know Panthers fans are ready for it. They've been asking for this for a while, so they got their wish. So what do you think Carolina does moving on from here?
You know, I think I'm not going to say this season is a wash, but you know, Baker's out for a couple of weeks with his injury. Let's see, you know, what the change of head coaches does for the overall like look and feel of the team. Like, do they, you know, Sam Donald, do they focus on the run? I mean, you know, another big thing that people fail to always mention is that their best player, McCaffrey, is always
injured, man.
Always. And so if you don't have your biggest weapon that can neutralize some of the poor quarterback play, it's just hard, you know. And then, you know, his style of play, and then he's so small, it just lends itself to a lot of injuries. And I'll go back to something I've been preaching for the last couple of years is he probably was a kid, you know, with father that played in the league that started playing football, tackle football at age 5 and 6. And I'm now, from what I've seen, I'm a proponent of, you know, kids not actually getting on those pads until much later, maybe late middle school, even high school. So if he's been taking hits since he was 6 years old, running the ball, because it's different even if you're a receiver or a quarterback, but if he's been taking hits, you know, for 20 years, man, that's a lot on a smaller built guy. And you can maybe get through college, but in the NFL, man, them dudes are laying the wood. And so, you know, if he just has not had an opportunity to really have the impact that he could when completely healthy, you know.
Yeah, and it's a shame, man. You know, Christian McCaffrey, you know, since he came out of Stanford, he's so talented, man. He's one of the most talented. When healthy, I think one of the best backs in this league. You know, and it's amazing what he can do on that gridiron. But he just cannot stay healthy. And at some point, you know, I think the Panthers have, again, it's like we said with the Cowboys. You know, I think the Panthers have to ask themselves, like, what are we doing here? You know, like with Christian, he's your guy, you love him, but he can't stay on the field. So at some point, do you possibly make a change, a trade? I don't know. You know, like we're at a point now where you fire your head coach. And from what I heard today, a lot of teams are already calling the Panthers, asking about some of their noteworthy players, according to Ian Rappaport, NFL Network. So, I mean, do we see possibly a Christian McCaffrey trade out of Carolina?
You know, it's got to be like I don't know if what would be the incentive for Carolina to give him up if you don't know the direction of your next coach, unless you know that you might as well give him up anyway because he's already washed up. So if you can get anything, that's better than nothing. But if you really think you'll down the line be able to benefit from a healthy Christian McCaffrey, I think you keep him. But if you know, it's just not going to be worth it. Like he had 54 yards rushing yesterday on 14 carries. He had a touchdown. He had a long run of 19. But still, what I mean, and it's not like 54 yards. He has to get 100. But it's the impact. Like, is he making an impact on the game? Is anybody game planning for him like they used to? And I just don't see it. You know, if you can trade him and you think it's worth it, but I may give the next coach a chance to see what he can do with McCaffrey and maybe not have him be the feature, but work with the skills that he can provide, you know.
Yeah. And so defensive passing game coordinator Steve Wilks, also one-time head coach for the Arizona Cardinals, so he does have the head coaching experience, will take over in the interim role. And word out is that he is in consideration for the full-time position. Just I guess seeing how he finishes out the year, so that'll be
Okay.
interesting to watch out for. For Carolina, but like you said, man, until you find out what's really going on, what the next direction is for the head coach who's coming in to replace Matt Rhule, you just, I mean, unless you want to go full rebuild mode, reset. I mean, hey, it just depends on where the ownership and the organization is trying to head. So that's my whole thoughts on that. But man, I'm sure you saw it blew up NFL Twitter and NFL media yesterday. Falcons and the Bucs. uh, Grady Jarrett.
Tom Brady getting slammed
Yeah,
to the turf.
So he sacked Tom Brady. I'm sure everybody knows about this play. Like I said, they've been talking about it everywhere, and but he sacked Tom Brady. Big play. Would have been third down. Would have been fourth. Bucs would have to punt the ball, but he gets called for a roughing the passer penalty. And from what I saw, that was nowhere near.
Yeah, nobody. I mean, I've heard quarterbacks this morning on some of these shows say, "Nah, man, that's not defensible. Like that was not roughing the passer at all." And it's a shame because when official and look, I'm a high school basketball referee. Been doing that for over 25 years, so I hate to blame officials, but we have to be held accountable. Sometimes our calls make a difference, and not that NFL officials now they've become full-time employees, they're making more money and everything, but still what they do is greatly impacts people that are and like coaches and these millionaire quarterbacks and stuff. So like and gambling and all these different ways, but like that's just that wasn't within the spirit of what that rule was intended. And that's another case where Tom Brady benefited. I go back to the Tuck rule when what led New England to their first Super Bowl victory. When it happened against the Raiders. So yeah, no, that was poor call. It allowed New England to continue on and yeah, it sucks, but I mean, that's unfortunately bad officiating is a part of the game. Bad calls are a part of the game. But I think we need to go back, and the intent of those rules are to protect the quarterback. But I think they went a little too far with some of the ways they've interpreted it. And I think I've heard a couple people say today, they just need to make it much more clear because it's really something that the referee has their own interpretation of. And maybe they just need to have very specific, this is a slam or this or whatever, or make it reviewable.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, that's probably not something you could challenge, but just if we're going to review other things, pass interference, make that reviewable.
Right. Yeah. And I do remember it was a couple seasons ago where you could challenge pass interference calls. Of course, it was a one and done thing, and the NFL got rid of it. So I mean, and Jerome Boger, who was the head referee for yesterday's game, I'm sure he's widely known around the league, and a lot of people don't particularly favor him as an official. Right. So I mean, again, we don't know. It's a lot to unpack there, but. Bad call, and these, like I said, these things happen. But I feel like at some point you have to find balance between, yes, player safety, but also keeping the physicality part of this game. Football is a physical game, no matter how you put it. It just is what it is. You're gonna get hit. You gotta hit. It's just how it is. And so at least that's the way I was coached and raised, right? And so you too, I'm sure. So that's just the way it is. And again, I think we just need to find a middle ground here. It's.
Yeah. To me, it's a little bit too much coddling of the quarterback position. I understand they're in a sometimes they're not protected in weird ways they can get hit blindside and stuff. But I think that's why offense has been so much more explosive because they're protecting the quarterback so much. And I just think it's a little bit too much. I do agree with things like about being hit below the knee or certain ways that they could get slammed. But you're talking to a guy. I was an option quarterback in high school. I ran the wishbone, and I was basically running back. So nobody's going to protect me, but I'm running the ball consistently. And that was 30 years ago. But still, like it also goes to the slide, like that rule where they're sliding. Like I get it, and Kyler Murray was sliding yesterday and came up short, but like you're doing that, and then I see people slide, and then somebody's already left the ground, and then they get called for hitting them, but they had already left their feet, and then this person decides to slide, and so it's some of those things. I'm just like, I understand it, but
Yeah.
let's use some common sense approach and go back and maybe reevaluate the spirit of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, man, it's been crazy, and the last couple weeks, and it's just the NFL again. This has been a very interesting season, and one to note of, a lot of quarterback movement. We talked about that before in the off season, how that affect these teams, and then Russell Wilson comes to the Broncos. Hopefully just there to revamp that team and the organization. But so far, man, things just haven't been going well for Denver. So, in your eyes, man, what is the issue there? Offensively for the Broncos, and what's cogging them down a little bit?
Just consistent. I don't know the role John Elway still plays, but this to me, it's not necessarily the coaching as much as it's apparently like they do a horrible job of quarterback evaluation. Like they have consistently over these last like 10, 15 years trying to get the next decent quarterback, and they can't do it. Like they try to go the next young up and coming, or they go get an older quarterback. I mean, they had a bit of success with Peyton Manning, but he really had a strong first couple of years there. But that Super Bowl year they won, he was dreadful. Threw a lot of interceptions. I mean, so that kind of worked out for him. But I don't know what the evaluation they did with Russell Wilson, because I thought he had over the last 2 years in Seattle, he wasn't really didn't look good to me. But then again, they went ahead and gave him this extra bonus of years and money
Yeah.
before he played a game. Like, what was the urgency? Like, you had him where, like, if he didn't like it, oh well. Like, you did that. You locked him in. You added years. I think 5 years when you didn't have to. But that goes back to me, the general manager, the president. Like, that seems to be more the problem. Now, in terms of their offense, they just need to run the ball, man. just run the ball, because I just, in terms of quarterback play, it has just been all over the place for a number of years. And I used to be a big Russell Wilson fan, but especially because he's from Richmond. I went to VCU at the time he was born, and I joke and say, "I'm Russ." That's right. Hey, maybe that's my kid, but no. He's actually a good guy. He's a Christian. His grandfather was a president of Norfolk State. But he's really, like, when I look back, like, he's been, not just the fact that he's corny, but like he didn't jive well with those defenders. The reason they really won on Super Bowl and got there was because of the defense. And I think I hate when I see a quarterback kind of buddy up to management and to the president and the system and the man, and you're just like, okay, I'm going to team up with them, and yeah, y'all give me the money and have my back and the defense, whatever. Like, in all those guys, he kind of turned his back on the defense when they really were the key. And so I never really got a good feel or like that. And so what goes around comes around, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And Russell Wilson, like you said, man, he's a great dude, and you sit down and talk to him. He's real cool. Great Christian man, as you said as well. But it's just, I don't know, man. He just hasn't looked up to par this year. And that part of that has to do with, again, receivers, not, running wrong routes and things like that. Just overall, the offense has just been really out of whack. And for a number of years now, Denver just the quarterback play has just been dreadful. And at some point they had to find a quarterback, and they thought that guy was Russell Wilson. And then, like you said, we got a whole 17-game season, a lot of games left to come. So we'll see how they get better. But him and you talk about guys like Matt Ryan up in Indy, just not fitting well with their new teams. So Yeah, I'm not sure, where you go in this direction. In the Broncos, I mean, you lose Javonte Williams to ACL injury, so I
Mm-hmm.
mean, Melvin Gordon, he's okay, decent, but is he gonna be enough to ride you through? Because you cannot sit there and drop back every play. So,
Right.
it's very interesting, man. So, um, you know, I don't know, man. It's been crazy this year.
Yeah, yeah. And I have another takeaway from this year so far. Let me get your opinion on this.
Okay.
All right. Did you watch Hard Knocks
For
this year?
the
The
Lions.
Lions.
Yeah.
Did you watch it?
Yeah.
What didn't you kind of think things might be different this year? Right now, they're 1-4, and they got crushed by the Patriots. So, what are your thoughts on? Because I know coming out of Hard Knocks, people really loved the head coach. Why can't I think
Dan
of his
Campbell.
name right
Yep,
now?
Dan Campbell.
Dan Campbell. Yeah, man, Dan. Dan Man Campbell. So, what is it? Just is still just old school Lions, or what is it?
The Detroit Lions, very very interesting case. And I'll say this about the Lions. I can tell that compared to the last couple of years, the culture is trending a little bit differently. They're playing
Mm-hmm.
harder and they're competing, and they
Yep.
have the number one offense in the NFL, but they also have the worst defense in the NFL. So I mean, at this point, it's just, I guess the talent has got to grow and mature a little bit more. But from what I'm saying right now, they've lost 4 games, but they've been competing, well, except for the one against the Patriots
Except for yesterday,
they've been
they were
competing.
within 3 to 4 points in every loss. Yeah, putting up points. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that in due time, the Lions will be back, to possibly playoff contention at some point. I mean, Jared Goff, he's playing much better this year than he has the past couple of years. And so I guess it's just a matter of just continuing to trust in what Dan Campbell is speaking and to his team and the culture that he's trying to build there. And like I said, man, the NFC North in general right now, with the Packers lost the Giants yesterday, but I still think they're just them and the Vikings are kind of still sitting at top up there.
Mm-hmm.
The Bears, uh, you know, just another head case, and the Lions right there. So, yeah, but I think they've been interesting this year, to say the least. They're competitive. I'll say that they're fighting every game.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, no, they are, and I like what he did, the way he put that coaching staff together. They got a bunch of brothers on the staff, and
Yeah.
the GM is a brother. So I'm pulling for him, man. I hope that they give him enough time to have some success, because they've given a lot of other coaches time. I didn't like how, it was years ago, but when they fired, oh my gosh, what's the quarterback coach they had? The one that used to be with Indianapolis Colts.
You talking about Jim Caldwell?
Yeah, Caldwell. Yeah. Caldwell, he was doing a fine job there with nothing, because he took, he got there after all the Matt Millen, mess, and Matt Millen with all these horrible picks, and just the organization was in an uproar. But I thought Caldwell, like, they didn't appreciate what he was doing, and we're 2 or 3 coaches later, and so I think Dan, this is the thing. All that rah-rah stuff doesn't mean much if because that doesn't necessarily translate in the NFL. Like, it's good and like, that's great for high school football, but the NFL, you got grown men professionals, and they just got to bring it. So either you got the talent or you don't.
It's that simple, man. It's that simple.
Yeah.
Football, to me, I feel like a lot of people overcomplicate the game of football. It's really not that hard. It's more fundamentals than anything, So it's just a matter of you have the talent, and you just maximize it to its full potential, or you don't, and you just got to go and get it, and develop it, So that's the thing I see, and again, Detroit has a long road ahead of them, but they're starting off in the right direction. So, but yeah, man. Other than that, it was a great podcast with you today, Rusty. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you, man. And, I love it. Your stuff, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, man, I love doing it. It's awesome, and because I love football. So, but you guys can catch the Chiefs and the Raiders tonight on Monday Night Football on ESPN. So that'll be an interesting one, and also yeah, again, week 6 coming up on Thursday night as well. So we're moving along pretty fast this year. This season's going by
Yeah.
pretty quick. So, but
It's funny, and I'll say this before we get on.
yeah,
You are so right. Like, you cannot wait for football season to start. And so we're like, in the summer, we'll be just happy with a nugget of the first few
I know,
preseason
right?
games. And we just can't wait. And and I know I feel the same way about high school and college football. And I look up, like, in the high school season, my son, they've already had 6 games. They only got 4 left. Or college is like, oh, wait a minute, this season is all, I could not wait. It seemed like it took forever. And now the NFL is like, okay, it's, a quarter of the way through. Oh, wow. Boom. And so, yeah, no, it's been fun. And so I'm looking forward to the rest of it.
Yeah, me too. But Rusty, again, thanks for coming on. We always enjoy you here on the podcast, and definitely be talking with you soon. And again, yeah, so more football ahead coming this week. So,
yeah, thank you, man. You do a great job. Appreciate you having me on.
of course, thank you. You guys can catch us on YouTube and every podcast platform out there. Subscribe, check us out, Jay's Fifth Down. You guys also check out the Kirk and Bird Show with Rusty and his co-host Kirk as well. So thank you guys for watching and tuning in.